Hi, we're continuing our branding series and continuing the work that we did in your Find Your Why course with this assignment lesson to write your mission statement. A mission statement is an internal utility piece. If you end up growing to the point where or you're already at the point where you have multiple employees, this is potentially something that you can share part of this internally, but really it's an internal piece that doesn't serve the same function as your position statement, which we're going to talk about later. A position statement is something that concisely says, hopefully in 25 words or less, who you are, who you serve, how you're different. And that's something that you can put on your website to explain more about who you are. This piece is just for you. So it's utility piece, meaning it's going to take your brain dump. And by the way, the brain dump is necessary because if you just jump in and try and write a really structured position statement, it's not going to be as rich. It's not going to be written in a way that can access that non-verbal mind. So when you do a brain dump and you're not trying to be an editor and writer in one, it enables you to get in touch with your heart wisdom, your gut wisdom, to get all of that knowledge, that intuitive knowledge out of your body, your subconscious, and onto the page. And once you have that, then we can work that with our left brain, bring in the editor, and really work with that material in order to bring about this functional, piece that we can utilize for a couple different things. So the goal of your mission statement is to take your find your why brain dump and to translate that into, like we said, an accessible piece that is going to guide your branding, your marketing, and your business decisions. We recommend having two sections. The first is your personal or profit focused mission statement, and this is going to inform business decisions. And the second is a customer focused mission statement. This is going to guide your marketing and your branding decisions. So, for your personal mission statement, this just really speaks to why you have a business and not a nonprofit. This includes your personal profit motivation. Why is this so important and definitely not something that you want to skip? Well, a lot of us, when we go into business, we can have different metrics that we can give verbal consent to the fact that we are in business and that we value a profit. But it's really easy to slip into thinking, well, but I'm working really hard. Well, I have a high volume of clients, and we use different metrics of success. And so we feel like we're doing really great. Where really, if you would have someone who knows how to read a financial spreadsheet, they could look and say, you're going to be bankrupt in 18 months. Even though there's a profit down here on your balance sheet, according to your spreadsheet, these numbers, you are actively on the path towards going bankrupt. And so it's important not to just value working really hard because that can be exciting for a long time. You can work really hard on your business and have zero profit to show for it and be like, I'm doing great. I worked for 5 hours this week on my business, and that was a huge sacrifice and that was a huge accomplishment. And that's fine. But there's a couple problems with that. One is that, especially in the birth working world, there's a lot of a lack of clarity oftentimes about what model your enterprise has. And if you have a birth work model that is a business model, meaning that at an emotional level, you think that you are investing in your business. So you are putting your personal resources towards something and you are thinking, I can afford to invest in my education. I can afford to invest in my website, not because I think this is a hobby, but because I actually think I'm going to make a return on my investment. Then you need to have clarity around that and not treat it half like a business and half like a nonprofit where you haven't, because if you act like you're a nonprofit and you don't price your business at a level where you are maximizing your profit, and because you're thinking, well, that person, people deserve to have this work, or it's really good, or I believe in the cause. Well, if you do that, but if you don't diversify your income strategy by getting donations, running benefits, getting grants, doing all the things a nonprofit would do, you are going to abysmally sink yourself into an incredible amount of debt, not just financially, but there's going to be really a debt against your personal health and your sense of well-being and your family, your intimate relationships, because you've taken your time, energy, and resources and you don't have clarity around whether you're running a business or a nonprofit. And so that's something that's really important to get clarity on. There's no right answer, but it's just whatever you choose. So the power of your personal mission statement is that it brings clarity and it helps remind you if you do have a business model, if there is this aspect of it, if you are running a nonprofit model where you're just in it for the calling and the cause and there's no profit motivation, then you can skip this. But if you have a business model, and there's nothing wrong with that, you have a profit motive, and you should keep that in mind. Then if you are investing as if it's a business model, then you should have clarity around those key decisions that you make. And so write out what your family's needs are, what you're trying to provide for, really speak to your profit motive, and it forces you to look at your current financial situation and to think about where you want to be and by what timeline. Looking at these timelines is really good because when you think about the dreams of your life, it's so easy to think, well, one day. Well, what day? How old are your kids going to be if you have children, right? Like, when is this actually going to happen? Because a lot of times we think that we just have time to do things, but when you actually plot things out and you really think about it and you really do the timeline, you realize, oh, if I don't start moving, I'm not going to hit these goals that enable these other future goals, right? I'm looking at just establishing my family's basic needs in my early 30s, right? And so I can't build the business enterprises that I want in the international maternal clinics and all the other things that I want to do before I do these basic things. And so I have an aggressive timeline in order to do this because I've actually looked at my timeline and I'm realizing, oh wow, my daughter's 8. Her entire childhood is almost over and she's never had a yard, you know? So look at your timeline. And why do this? One, I already said this is because it's really easy to have emotional metrics of I'm working really hard on my business. I'm serving a high volume of clients, but if you don't have a profit motivation and you don't have a clarity around your why, I want to buy a house so I can do foster care and elder care. I want my kids to have a yard so we can get a dog, right? It helps you to make business and financial decisions because you haven't just spent time visualizing the good of how you want to be generous. You've also spent time visualizing the good that you want to create, and that takes profit. So, I had this amazing experience when I went through this online course, The Enlightened Millionaire, with two of my very best friends. And I was amazed at how highly personal and relationally based their profit motives were. And so, I really would encourage you, if you are running a business, have the beauty of your profit dream be clear and bright before you so that you're able to guide your business with a strong profit motive so that you're able to be realistic. How do you have to set up your business so that you can hit these really important goals with your family? And I'm just going to close with this, and I'm sorry this went a little bit longer than I intended, but there's many ways to be generous, and you don't have to give it all away. Some of the people who have touched my life the most have been people who have never given me any time, resources, or attention. They're people who took the resources that they had and became this bright light of inspiration, who just rose to a place of prominence where they are so they're so luminous in who they are that their light just goes so far and wide, so far past any amount of time that they could give, right? They just inspire me because of who they've become as people. And there's nothing wrong with investing in yourself. And honestly, you can rise to the level of someone like a saint who, like Saint Nicholas, was a person who took some of his resources and he gave it away to children, right, in the form of gifts. But he also was a person who had such a bright spirit that now literally people enact his spirit all over the world and create Christmas miracles and give things away at this time of year. And you can have that level uh, of generosity beyond your lifetime if you will invest in yourself, and people will then come to the brightness of your rising because you didn't just parcel out everything you had with giving all your time and energy and attention away, right? You took some of that and actualized your maturity, you actualized your potential. There's nothing selfish about doing that. There's nothing necessarily good or bad. It's just make whatever you choose to do, just make a conscious choice and make sure that you are making a choice that's in alignment with the reality of your life and what your deepest values are. Now, your customer focused mission statement is where most people begin. I think your personal mission statement is so important, but your this one for your customers is an internal utility piece. It's going to serve your marketing and your branding. So it's going to bring awareness to who you really think your ideal client is, and it's going to enable you to fall in love with your client, I would really recommend that you spend time holding your client in your heart, just loving on them, and do this regularly. The number one rule to succeed in business, I believe, is love, because love never fails. They'll be able to feel the difference, and in return, they'll fall in love with your work and they'll fall in love with your brand. So, free write who do you think your ideal client really is, and have this inform how you speak to them, what you write to them, how you describe them, right? So, write about who you think your ideal client is. Use imagery and adjective descriptions around who your ideal client is. You can also use this tool to enable your branding to have tone consistency, which enables you to speak to a clear and cohesive target audience. If you speak to everyone, you will resonate with no one. So, you want to make sure that your branding and marketing has the consistency of a target audience. It will help your ideal client to interact with your branding and your marketing and to go, oh, they're obviously talking about me, right? And it will really enable you to generate with your content a body of work, a collection that makes sense. It all holds together, right? When you know your target audience, it will help you to decide what content and campaigns you can do so that you have this collection, this body of work that makes sense. And it will focus your business production so that your business doesn't just become a smorgasbord of all the things that personally interest you. You've brought intentionality to your publications. And this is something that's good to do early, because as you follow our branding and marketing advice, my dream for you is that you will ultimately become a figurehead in your business, that you'll become very successful. And without being focused, it's easy to think, well, gosh, I'm just so successful and people love everything that I do. And to abandon what made you successful and just to kind of talk about all these random different things that are personally interesting to you but aren't focused on really what it is that you're supposed to be serving. It may be obvious to you as it is to me right now that this is something that I'm on a journey around. So it's important to keep in mind why, right? Why are we doing this? And to be cohesive and clear. So, in the Find Your Why assignment, the instructions that were given to you weren't complex. You just were supposed to free write unedited for as long as you could, from as deep as you could, and to really tell the truth and to capture all of those word fragments and pictures and incomplete sentences about why you wanted to create the business. And we advised you to talk about money and what your profit motive was for how you want to establish things that you have in your life, goals, family, health, all of that, but to go beyond it and to really speak to the problems that you're trying to solve, the passions that you have, your values, your beliefs, your inspirations, your hope and vision for a different world, and how you wanted to create that. Now, with your customer focused mission statement, we would encourage you to include some of the same pieces that you're going to be doing for your position statement, which is, say briefly who you are and then what you do and your why, right? Find your why in your mission statement. Why are you doing it? Describe your customer that you love, right? Why do you love them? Why did you choose this tribe to do business in? And then write your distinctives. What are the important reasons that people buy from you? And in future lessons, we're going to layer in, as we talk about your differentiation strategy, all the ways that you're different. We're also going to help you discover your values in future lessons. But for now, just go ahead and take your brain dump and turn that into a cohesive, customer focused mission statement that touches on some of these points, and you will have an amazing internal piece that's going to direct your branding, focus your marketing, and help you to clearly and cohesively speak to your client as you create a body of work for your business. Good luck, and I will see you in the next lesson.